Alright, testing. I think I'm coming through now. I've done my best with this stream to minimize the latency between chatting and me speaking. I don't think there will be any frame rate issues this time. Alright, testing. I think I'm coming through now. I've done my... Excuse me, there's a little of my coffee. Alright, this is going to be markedly different from what I've been doing recently. And I, for one, am super excited about that fact. You guys have been watching me flail around playing action games, Ratchet and Clank, Far Cry Primal, things where I yell a lot because something surprised me or because my health is low. There's going to be none of that today. Instead, there's going to be me showing you what I feel is a really cool strategy game about which I can say something that I can say about very few strategy games, and that is that it's unique. I love that above all else about Star Ruler 2. Now, this came out about a year ago. The developer is called Blind Mind, and actually there are a few folks who are either from Blind Mind or work for them. I know they're a very small group. If you want to be outed, say hello in the chat channel. And also, I have a question for you guys. Where are you guys from? Because I realized that I thought, for some reason, Blind Mind was Eastern European development studio or something, and I'm going to tell you in a little bit why I thought that. But I realized I have no basis for thinking that. I tried to look it up online. I have no idea where they're located. Good, so there's a couple of them here. I would love to know where you guys are, and then I'll explain shortly why I thought you were Eastern European. Actually, maybe you are. Maybe I'm correct. So what I'm going to do today is, over here, you can see my cursor, right? Over here are two new races that have been added. And they are, well, something else. I haven't actually tried them. I've looked at information about them, and they're super different and kind of super intimidating. And just to interject briefly, so one of the folks at Blind Mind is in Texas, is from Texas in West Virginia. One is in the Netherlands. Okay. So I was off by a few thousand miles. So what I'm going to do today is not play these new races because they're scary to me. And what I'd rather do today is introduce the game to you guys. Make a compact, succinct, not a tutorial, just I just want to show you some of the systems and why I like this game so much. Tomorrow, I'm going to try one of these two guys. Furthermore, if you have any interest in the game, make sure to come back on Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. Pacific. If you put your name in the chat channel, and I'll remind you, I will make a list of names and randomly pick a few people to give away a copy of the game and the add-on, which will be out tomorrow, that was kindly provided by the folks at Blind Mind. So, tomorrow's going to be the crazy stuff where I'm going to have no idea what I'm doing. Today, I just want to show you why this game is so cool. You'll also be seeing some of the add-on content as well, because the add-on isn't just these two races. There's some entirely new systems. So, what I don't know is which race I want to play. I like that these are the basic races, kind of, and then they give you a little warning up here. Not recommended for beginners. These two have that recommendation. The add-on ones have that recommendation as well. You might notice there's no vanilla humans. These are the closest you're going to get. Oh, these guys are kind of close as well. These are the closest you're going to get. And actually, I'm sure... I confess I've never read this, but I imagine in this backstory here, there is some explanation for why they are the continued dominion of man. They're the most human-like, I would say. A race is distinguished by a few things. There's a government type. There's the way they get around in the galaxy. And then there are a couple of unique qualifiers. Although in some cases, like the Terrakin, one of their unique qualifiers is no particular effect on regular gameplay. Whereas these other races will have some crazy stuff in here. These guys don't. So these are a great starting group. I'm not going to go with that, by the way. These folks here are the plant people. These are, I don't know if they're Borg, but they're sort of like the computer high-tech people. These are the two religious races. These are the more aggressively evangelical religious dudes. Robots. Don't know what to make of these guys. They're basically referred to as star children because that's their special qualifier there. They have a funky thing where their population is always in orbit. So they fly around in motherships and they build these habitats. The new guys, good lord, refugees basically. Um, it's called extragalactic, but what I think of, their main dynamic is their population arrives through these gates, and rather than reproducing and growing normally, they come into the galaxy and you send them where you need to. That's what makes me think of refugees. And as for one of the factors of your economy, I always screw this word up. Do you guys know the word remittance? Isn't that what you call it when migrant workers go to another country and they send money home to their families? And that's a source of an income for some countries. Like I think Tibet, for instance, like a huge percentage of their economy is remittance. So these guys have remittance in that they send money and resources back through the gates, and that determines what things come out. And then these guys, good lord, they refer to them in their announcement about them as virtual people. They don't have populations. They don't really settle planets. Yeah, so maybe I'll try these tomorrow because I have no idea what to make of them. But as for today, I don't know. Let's not get too crazy. Let's be the peaceful religious guys. Oh, and real quick, just to show you, whoops. So just to show you, a race consists of a government, and I don't know how critical I should be because some of the developers are here, but I'm going to say a few things that might sound kind of mean. I hope you guys don't take offense. One of the things I'm kind of disappointed at is what's called a government is actually just your starting conditions. You get, I was going to say several hundred turns into the game, but there are no turns, it's real time. You get a little ways into the game, and a theocracy isn't necessarily any different from capitalism or communism. So these are basically, what was the Beyond Earth? Was that the Firaxis game that came out recently? It's kind of disappointing. When you play Beyond Earth, you can fill your starting capsule with different resources. You can determine what's in there. That's kind of what I think they're doing with government types. Where things do get dramatically different, oh good lord, maybe I'm not ready to play these guys. They have this crazy way of flying around. The races, here's the default way of getting around. You use a resource called FTL juice. It's called FTL. I think of it as FTL juice, or hyperfuel, whatever. And they just fly around like normal. These guys, let's go ahead and try them. They have a whole different way of flying around. I've never done this before. And that's true of a lot of them. Where's the guy that have gates? So these guys build gates. They just added jump drives, which is like a hyperdrive that if you use it over too long a range, there's some risk involved. I think your ship might blow up. And yes, it is definitely real time. You might look at screenshots and you might hear someone talk about it and think, well, yeah, that's a turn-based 4X. No, totally real time. I think if there's any frame of reference, and I only say, well, it's more similar to the kinds of games Paradox makes, in that it's real time, but it doesn't sacrifice any detail because it's real time, and the speed is entirely up to you. You can charge ahead super fast. You can pause. You can play it like a turn-based game. Just pause every so often, give you orders, then unpause. And it also reminds me of a Paradox game in that they have unique mechanics. Now, that's not really true of Paradox these days. I mean, Paradox is iterating on this formula that they introduced way back when with Europa Universalis. And it's come a long way, to be sure. But you pick up a Paradox game, and for the most part, you kind of know what you're getting. Playing this game, it's kind of like that first time you jumped into Europa Universalis. And you were like, whoa, what is this? What is going on? This is totally new and cool. And maybe, 10 years down the road, Blind Mind will have cranked out 3 or 4 games like this and it'll be familiar to us. But right now, this is like playing an early Paradox game for the real time and for the surprising uniqueness of it. So let's go ahead and try these guys with fling beacons. I probably should have done a little more homework on this, but we are going to only play with 2 AIs because I don't want, there's maybe, do have 2 AIs. I guess I'll take these guys. We'll take these vanilla guys and the more, I don't want the aggressive religious guys. Let's take the tree people. This is also new, so you can set the AI. And this you don't see enough. I would love to see more of this. In addition to setting basically how, competent the AI is, you can change their behavior. These two are mutually exclusive. They can be aggressive or passive, but they can also be biased towards the human player. And then this determines what rules they get a bonus with, like extra money, extra military strength, well, cheats as they're called. We're not going to enable any of those. We're just going to have two normal players for the time being. Game options. Now, maybe the guys in the chat channel who made this will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when the game came out, there were no victory options. All you did was you started up a game and you basically played last man standing. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I played the release version. So I think the victory options are new and very important, I feel. We're going to leave things as they are. This right here, I like that it's a setting. Some players, and I don't know why, some players hate pirates in their space games. You know, they're the kind of people who hate barbarians in Civilization. I feel these things serve an important purpose. They're basically a way of saying, hey, dummy, make sure to build a military. Because a lot of people like to play these as just economic sims, and that's fine. But I feel barbarians and pirates, the idea there is before you go up against the other AIs, the other players, the other nations, just sort of a gentle reminder that it might be good to have an army. Alright, so leaving things at the default, we are going, here's the shape of the galaxy. I'm just going to go with this one. They added this, which where did... They added... Where's the horde mode? Oh, here it is. Right, okay. What is that under? Oh, I guess it's a... yeah. So they added a really cool horde mode in here. I'm not sure how I got there. Yep, here's me already fumbling around, having no idea what I'm doing. Anyway, under here, if you go in there, there is a really cool horde mode. And it's not just a map, by the way. A whole new sort of economy and military dynamic. Almost like a tower defense, but not nearly that easy. Cool new power-ups. We're not doing that. We're going with the Spiral Galaxy. Why is it... Oh, I see. Am I queuing up options? I'm not entirely sure what that was, but this is what we're playing. There it is. That's kind of odd. I guess I've always just picked what I'm going with. I don't know how I had multiple maps queued up. We're just going to take the default game options, and we're going to start the game. So, right... Oh, I got an achievement? Right away, here's our time. I'm going to hit pause. You start with... Excuse me. You start with a fleet or a mothership. These are called flagships. Some races only start with one flagship without a fleet. My guys, I forgot what government I am. Am I theocracy? I think we're theocracy. So we get a dreadnought. And when you have your dreadnought, there's probably a lot of information to look at. So right now, just look at this. Here's my dreadnought. It has health. Strength is basically, not basically, is literally the multiplication, I believe, or addition of the fleet and flagship's health and their damage per second. So it's a straight-up measure of how it's going to do in a fight. You compare that to another fleet, totally takes into account things like armor that you've added and your different weapons. Supply is used when you fire weapons. It's used to capture things. So as you fight, this will go down, and you replenish it in friendly systems. And here's what I have in addition to my mothership. So I got a little fleet here. I also should have a planet. This might look familiar, and I'm going to turn all of these on because I love these. This is similar to what I think I first saw in Sins of a Solar Age, where you can just have these messages queue up on the right side, and they're interactive, by the way, too. I, at this point, would like to turn on everything. Oh, I got 2 dreadnoughts. So there you go. I'll mention these later, but you eventually can get alerts here. So Mr. 8monkey says this is a tiny HUD. Let me blow that up for you guys. Is that too overbearing? I'm not used to playing that way, but that might help if you're watching this in a window. So these are alerts that are Super helpful when your empire gets bigger. So there's a star and there are planets around the star. I live here at Joros 1. If I were an empire, one of my starting options, you have these diplomacy cards, and different governments start with different cards. If I were an empire, I could rename this planet right off the bat. Instead, maybe that's an option I can pick up later. For the time being, I'm stuck. I'm not stuck. I'm okay with being given a planet name. I'm at Joros 1 in this little star system. If we zoom out, there are 3 that connect. Now, these connections don't... It's not quite like Sins of a Solar Empire, where this is the only way I can travel. Although even in Sins, it's not quite that way. These connections are for the purpose of trade and adjacency. If I want to just send my... I was going to say, if I had an FTL, if I had regular jump drives or hyperdrives, I could just fly and hang out here if I wanted. We're going to find out how my little fling beacons work. Good. Glad that the HUD size can be fixed. That it helps you guys. Here is the whole galaxy. See a sort of a bit in the middle, and there's these spiral arms. And here's my spiral. I call dibs on this. Nobody else can come out here. You races keep to your spirals. I'm also calling dibs on the middle here, just so they know. In this particular system, I've got my planet, which I'm going to double click and we're going to take a look at it. They have this thing here, which might remind you of maybe Galactic Civilizations. That game, you put buildings down on tiles. What they're doing with this is it's both different and I think more in depth. This isn't like, there's so many ways this is different from your standard Civilization game. You don't build, so there are buildings, and you actually can click on it and build it here, but that's not really how this map works. There's an independent economy kind of at work in Star Ruler that will build things on their own, of their own accord, and based on how you set up your economy. And you'll see that in a little bit. The important thing about this planet, I have an altar here, which is unique to my race because we're the peaceful religious dudes. I should say the less aggressive evangelical ones. This is the food and water on this planet. So they're pretty well accounted for, which means they're level 1. If I want them to level up, which I definitely do, because the more people we have, our population limit is 4 billion. It's pretty tiny. The more people we have, the more money we make. This thing here is called pressure, and don't look at that now. Pressure, again, if you guys who made this game in the chat channel, I'm going to say something kind of dickish. Pressure is a terrible name for what that is. And it's why I thought they were maybe an Eastern European company. Because, and I know you guys probably get a lot of questions about what is pressure, how does it work, what is it? It's actually not that complex an idea, but I think it's super misleading to give it the name pressure, because pressure sounds like something negative, like something being applied that you don't want. And I can kind of understand why they use that term, because I'll explain it in a little bit. But as you're wrapping your head around this game, this stat here about pressure is really difficult to figure out, partly because it's called pressure. I think a better name for it might be, I don't know, industry, incent. I don't know. I'm not a game designer, but I think that so. And one of the reasons I thought they were Eastern European is I thought, well, maybe they didn't quite understand a better English word for what that could be. But for now, just think of this as industry, and I'm going to explain it in a little bit because it's super important to this game. This is how loyal my planet is. Not very loyal at this point. It just means how long it takes for another race to capture it if they so desire. Labor is one of the many resources in this game, and it's also one of the more confounding ones. Not confound. It doesn't work like you expect it to. I'll just say that, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. Lucas in the chat channel is saying they tried to find a better term for pressure for a long time, but nothing quite expressed it. Every other nice term is already used for something else. And yeah, I can imagine the challenge of what are you going to call this? Because here's another thing about pressure. And I want to show you guys cool stuff about this game. I apologize for sitting here at a static, boring screen. I'll get stuff going in a minute. But another complicated thing with pressure, I can't really think of any real-world intuitive analog for what it is or how it works. And now that I've said that, I guess I better explain it. All right, so to explain pressure, let me give you the basic economy here. It's a level 1 planet. We don't want that. We want it to be level 2. In fact, we don't even want that. We want it to be level 3, then 4, then 5. To go up a level, as you can see here, we need one more of any food resource, and it helpfully breaks down with that tooltip that food is fish, apples, rice, or I don't know what that red thing is. It looks a little bit like peppers. Candy, whatever that is. We need one of those resources, and we need any tier 1 resource. And those are awesome. I'll show you some of those in a little bit, but there's a whole bunch of them. So to get to level 2, we have to feed this planet more stuff. Star Ruler 2 has a blatantly colonial resource model, which I think is kind of charming, in that you just extract stuff from planets. You just go there and you take it, and that planet doesn't get it anymore, and you're basically only interested in what it can give your better planets. So here, for instance, is why we need food. Here's the meat. I said it looked like candy. It's meat. So we're going to feed them meat. Oh, and I see that Farragoff in the chat channel is explaining Brad Steele guessed meat. So that was obvious to some of you guys. So kudos to your icon team. A lot of times I think, is that just me or is that a really difficult icon to understand? But yeah, you guys got it. That's meat. So we need food here. Any kind of food. So normally in a game I might okay, I got to construct a colony ship. Oh, I got to wait for it to be done. And then I got to fill it with population, and I got to fly it over here, and I got to land it. Here's how you colonize in Star Ruler 2. Star Ruler 2. There. I just set up colonization. Now we're paused, so I'm just going to run the time super fast, and you'll be able to see population streaming into this planet. It is going to fill up, and it is now... Sorry about that. Yeah, if I do... I don't know if this is something they're working... When I run the speed super high, it might do little funky things. I'll try not to do that. By the way, I've got 2 scouts as well. Oh, these are scouts, not dreadnoughts. Let me real quick just do some exploration queuing. Oh, although it's using fling beacons, I'm not really sure. I don't really know how to use my scouts. Let's see, my FTL. Well, it seemed to be going okay. I'll have to... I should have investigated fling beacons. You guys really are not going to be getting the best look at this game, considering I'm not even really clear on how to move my ships. Is that going to work? We'll see. Alright, so... excuse me. Now we have 2 planets. You can tell by the blue around them. One produces meat. This little plus sign is there for a reason I'll tell you about in a minute. And the other is our homeworld. It's got the altar icon there. That's how we know that's where we live. One great way to keep track of planets. In Civilization, you hit F1 and you see a list, a little text list. Here, you are going to see this awesome, it almost looks like a family tree in Crusader Kings or something. It's a chart showing which planets are sending what to which other planets. So if I come here, there's going to be a red circle for every planet I own. So here's Joros. It has meat. We can see here, meat, it's level 0. If I want to level it up, they just need water to drink. Basically, food and water will make any planet level 1. Level 0 planets are great for providing you with the basics, you know, food and water. Oh, real quick, so Fergoff is saying, fling is anything in the green circle can be flung. Oh, there's a range limit. Let me just real quick look at that. So here's my... There we go. So I guess once I'm outside of it... Oh, am I stuck here? Interesting. Pony Carnival is suggesting the word incentive for pressure. Even that doesn't quite work, and you'll see why in a second. I don't envy them the task, because like I said, I can't think of a real world analog. I'd be curious if you guys have some ideas. So I guess once I scout here until I build more beacons, I'm going to have to hang out there. Fair enough, I'll figure that out in a second. So we want to get meat to this planet. How do we do this? Do you have to go in, click icons, and click? Nope, you just drag. There, meat. There's even a hotkey to do it. This icon now is showing a red arrow pointing away, meaning, hey, what this planet has it's no longer here. It's being diverted here. Now, if I stop sending it, this little plus sign is showing me, hey, you've got an extra resource you can use here. So super helpful stuff on the screen. And one of the alerts over here shows you when you have a resource not being used. So now that they've got meat, you will see they need a level 1 resource. So let's real quick. Here's a level 1 resource. Textiles. Let me see what textiles do. Money. Okay. This place needs, you'll see water. Wait, it needs just water and food, right? Let's colonize food. Why am I not? I think any planet, I could be wrong about this, I think any planet just needs water and food to go to level 1. Firgoff is confirming that yes, I have to get beacons out here if I want to expand any further. Alright, so we're queuing up colonization. Now here's the only, let's see, this slide, or this alert right here, this is how many planets I have that have enough people on them to send out colonization. Colonization is you just send 1 billion guys from one planet to another one. Oh, and I'll speed up. So you'll see that the population of Joros 1 will be going down, while the population of Joros 4 will be going up down here. When it hits 1 billion, it's a colony. Lucas DeVries is pointing out that if I have my scouts here, the fling beacons will let me go faster, but alternatively I can just right-click and move around at normal speed. Is it right? There's one of the races has its movement type sublight, like it has no super fast travel at all, and I don't know. Yeah, that would just, I don't know how you're supposed to deal with that. I guess you just go slow everywhere. But in exchange, it's this typical system with races where you get positive points for taking negative traits and vice versa. So I'm not sure what they get to make up for not having any faster than light travel, but it's got to be nice. So we're going to send water here. And I think it still needs food. I'll check in a second. Left Empty points out that it's kind of cool that the planets don't just stay there. They helpfully, so when I zoom in, by the way, you can see them in whatever configuration. When you hit a certain point, they helpfully line up around the edges, like this, which is great because it makes it way easier to manage them. Yeah, so they need food, they've got water, now they just need something to eat. So you think, okay, you've got meat, why don't you give them meat? Nope, no more meat available here. It's all being eaten at Joros 1. So we're going to give them some apples. And just because I know we're going to be needing it, we're going to go ahead and get some more, queue up some more water and some fish. And that's its delightfully colonial approach, is that once a planet is sending its food somewhere, it is wrung dry. Fergoff is pointing out that one of the advantages of the fling travel is that you can move stations and even planets around. Now I knew you could move planets at one point, and let me then show you this. Here's the tech tree, which is actually a web. This, by the way, also very different from when I first played the game. I'm going to zoom out now. That looks a little daunting, but if you go up here, planetary thrusters is one of the techs you can get. What you're basically seeing on the tech tree, you start in the middle, these hex-shaped ones are special developments, and the little squares in between them are basically bonuses you get. In a civilization game, I would instantly be making flasks, so I would just queue up stuff. I'm not getting any research. I'll get back to pressure in a second. Let me just go along the top. This is my money, which again is also unique in ways that I'll tell you about in a second. This right here is my influence, which I should spend because it's maxed out, which is used in the awesome diplomacy system, which you'll see. Energy is basically mana, It powers these things called artifacts. You also use energy for some of the techs you'll research, but I think of it as sci-fi mana. Here is FTL juice. As you use your faster than light travel, it comes out of this reserve and it fills the tank up over time. Here's my speed. I have no research, so I can't do any science. This is automatically produced defense. Your planets can automatically just make a defense fleet that sort of hovers around the planet and is super helpful. Tromic is asking, what is the countdown? Remaining time of all queued action? Do you mean this, Tromic? If so, this is what's unique about money. It's kind of the way government works. When I have a good friend who works for NASA, for instance, they have a certain amount of money they can spend, I guess, every quarter. And if they don't spend it, they get it taken away, and they're going to get that much less next quarter. That's how this works here, is I now have 350 space bucks to spend. If I don't spend it, it doesn't go away, but this is how much I have to spend in any given turn. If I spend that, it's gone until this comes, and then my budget regenerates to the same amount. Now, when this fills up, this isn't going to change because that's my budget. This money that I didn't spend gets siphoned into one of these areas. I can pick where it's going to go. And actually right now it's been going into influence, which is why I've got influence that I'm not spending. I'm going to send it to research. Now when this fills up, any of this money I don't spend is going to get dumped over here into research. You can pretty much put it in any one of these stats that you want. You can put it in your influence, in your mana, your energy, in your research. Labor is a resource I'll get to in a minute, or in your defense. You don't put it here because this automatically replenishes anyway. So you'll see once this fills up, it's going to estimate my research amount here. So that again is a unique part of this game, is I'm not just sitting on an accumulating mound of gold. This is how much I have to spend each turn. And a great drop-down list shows you where the money's coming from. Right now I'm getting it all from planets, and you'll see I'm spending about half of it on planets. And the reason I'm spending it on planets, because these level 1 planets cost you money. Until a planet gets, though they're level 0, I mean, until a planet actually gets a little development and then gives you some money, it's an income sink. So this basically represents, I guess you're paying for food and agriculture. So we need a level 1 good here. We're going to develop these textiles. We see here they need food. We're going to, where's that fish? Yeah, we're going to give them some fish. One thing I don't know, so here's some fish right here. I'm sending it across the star system. You can see it moving there. As I explore and find more fish, what if I sent it this fish? I think, and I would love for one of the developers to say in chat one way or the other, I think distance is irrelevant. And I could be wrong about that. One reason I think that, by the way, is if you go to this planet screen, now I've got a couple of planets, I can change things here. I can just drag this around however I want. I can send the fish there and then the apples, the meat here. And it makes me think, because there's nothing telling me, hey, that's suboptimal, it makes me think that distance is irrelevant. So do let me know in the chat if that is true. What is this oasis, by the way? A tropical paradise. The planet's resource gives me a bonus to influence pressure. Alright, so speaking of pressure. So we now have a level 1 good. We know this place needs a level 1 good to go to level 2, so we just drag like that. This now, you will see, is level 2. Its population is slowly filling up. It can go all the way to 10, which gives us that much more income. And furthermore, let me go back to my planet screen. This game it uses this great kind of Windows interface. There are tabs up here. That right there is the basic home screen. These are the different screens you can look at, and you open them and they open in a tab. And it even uses, like, I hit Control T, I can add a new tab, Control T, a new tab. Which ones do we want? We want the planet one up. Oh, we want to show you attitudes. And you can drag the tabs around like this. The hotkeys are just Alt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to just work your way along the tabs, or just Control Tab. I love that. So Firgoff is saying, yes, distance doesn't matter in trade. It just might give you a few tactical weak points. Though it does have to be inside your trade border. Oh, yes, of course. This is my trade border, this gray line, and it's basically adjacency. So if you remember these lines that connect things, if I were to then have a inhabited planet here, then these would be within my trade radius. So because I inhabit this and this, I can go here, and because I inhabit these, I connect here. So we now have a level 2 planet. Now I'm going to show you what pressure is. The basic resources, for instance, we'll go back to the planets. The basic planet that is shipping out meat, this meat right here is being exported, and it's going to Joros 1. So let's look at Joros 1, where they're eating the meat from Joros 2. Oh, Joros 1 is our planet. Okay, let's do it this way. All right, here's our water planet. It is giving water to Joros 4. So let's look at Joros 4, where they're getting water. Joros 4 is getting this water, and all it does is it gives it water. But because it is now leveled up, it can export its textiles. Its textiles are going, as we can see by this tooltip, to Joros 1, which is our capital. Oh, there is pressure here. Where is that from? Maybe from its own textiles? I don't know. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. It's got its own pressure. I thought it would have zero pressure. The textiles cause pressure where they are sent. So what that means now is, let's look at Joros, where these textiles are going. And I can tell from this tooltip, level 1 textiles cause 3 points of income pressure, because pressure causes you to get resources in a way that I'll show you. So along with textiles, and actually textiles doesn't mean anything. There's no cloth that I use to make clothing or luxury goods or anything like that. All that textiles mean are literally 3 points of money pressure. And I can see that from this tooltip. So textiles is just their cool thematic name for 3 points of money pressure. So let's go look at Joros 1, where those 3 points of money pressure have shown up. My pressure capacity is 17, and I'm pretty sure this is exclusively, there's bonuses you can get, but this is mainly based on your population and your level. So the higher the level of the planet, the bigger the population capacity, the more income it makes, and the more pressure capacity. Now, pressure capacity is basically, you can think of as your industrial cap. You can go over it, but once you do, things become less efficient. So we know, because I just showed you, that the 3 points of pressure are coming from that textile planet. What does that mean? Why do I care? Pressure causes this planet, and the type of pressure matters, to create goods or resources. And the way it does that, in this case money, and the way it does that is, and I imagine this is why they use the term, it maybe pressures or incentivizes the citizens to build buildings that make that resource. So for me to get money, I do not build a marketplace here. And there is one, by the way. I didn't build that. And there's nowhere, by the way, there's no marketplace here. I don't build something to just make money. I have options, but that's not one of them. Instead, the people build a marketplace for every point of money pressure they get. So because I sent in textiles, and because all that means is 3 points of money pressure, the population puts in these little tiles 3 markets, each of which, you'll see, gives me 75K per budget cycle. That's all the textiles did, was they pressured the citizens into building markets. A similar thing is, for instance, there are pressure for different resources. If I send influence pressure somewhere, that causes the citizens to build these little antennas that create influence. So that is pressure. It is basically a way of saying, hey, you ship this good here, and the place that it arrives at will develop a special building that will give you resources. And don't go over your capacity. If I send everything into Joros 1, which is kind of how the game works, is you do have this big industrial capital. If I send everything here, and I go over 17, it's going to be less practical. Furthermore, if for whatever silly reason, if I wanted to send everything to Joros 4 with its pressure capacity of 3, I could, but once it exceeds this capacity, it's going to become less efficient. So ultimately what you're doing in this game's economy is creating kind of a pyramid of a base level of planets that provide food to a planet that then provides goods to another planet, and in providing that goods, it doesn't literally provide goods, it pressures that other planet to build buildings that give me resources. So let's see, Tromic is saying, pressure sounds a bit like capacity utilization. Tromic, I am so glad you are not on the design team, because if I had been confronted with that term, oh my god, I have no idea what capacity utilization... Actually, no, okay, if I just break down the words, I didn't know if that was some fancy economic term. I guess you could call it that. How much of its capacity is it utilized? But the thing is, how does it use it? Yeah, I don't envy the guys at Blind Mind for having to come up with a word for this, because it's the basis of their economy. Is you send pressure points around, the pressure points create... Oh man, this is awesome. Oh, I do remember this. So this is just the normal tree. You can also have these little information displays. Look at that. So income, you can see, these are the money sinks. Look at how much money they're costing me. Here's what I'm making, though. So production, what is that showing? Oh, labor. Yeah, labor. Oh, so it's making labor and money. Requirements. This is what it needs to level up. Oh, gosh. Blind Mind, you guys are so awesome. Pressure, yep. Surface tiles. Ah, I see how much... so, because pressure uses... These marketplaces here, they're taking up tile spots. Which, by the way, I guess I'll show you now. See this little tile? It's a city. For every point of population, a tile gets filled in with a city. This is my shrine, or sorry, altar. This is a unique part of my race. And this is a factory that is giving me this labor right here. Now, if I want to build more buildings here, I can. Let's say, for instance, I really wanted to give them food. Sorry, the tooltip's going crazy. This right here, does this make food? Yeah, this basically makes food for me. So I could just say, you know what, I'm not going to import food. I'm just going to build a bunch of food. I'm going to make a farm. And when I first started playing this, that's kind of how I played. It's like, I don't want to, I don't want to mess with all these planets importing stuff. Let me just build farms. You can do that, but what's going to happen, if you look under the text there, the size is how many tiles it's going to use. It's going to squat on a big old piece of the planet. And by the way, if you build it on, it says there on a forest, you'll see a tooltip here that tells me forest. So if I build it on a forest, and some planets, by the way, are ice, this is not forest, volcanic. But if I build this on a forest bit, it's going to be cheaper. So actually, look here, it costs 300K. If I build it there, it's only 120K. Now, it's cheaper to build it, and that's the money that, oh my gosh, look at my income. That's the money that comes out of here. What doesn't change is that second number. So it's 300K to build it. It's then 190K every budget cycle to pay for it. So if I build enough of these, it is totally going to eat into my budget. Because I'm demoing the game, this is terribly inefficient, by the way. I would normally have that spent. So let's see. So let's get back to setting up some of these planets. Oh, I like this normal view for now. Alright, so I know here, by the way, is a level 2 good. So let's develop drugs, look at that, medicine, for Joros 1. And to do that, we look here to see what they need. So it's going to need, well, it has to be level 2, so it's level 0 right now. We know we have to give them food and water, so let's do that. This little plus sign, by the way, if you remember, means it's not utilized. And up here, I can also see that it is not utilized. And I want to show you another cool interface thing. I'm going to colonize Grianfi 2. Wait, why is that Grianfi not? Oh, right. I'm looking at a whole different... I was thinking there's a star here and these are planets. No, there's a star here and these are planets. Oh, let's see. So a couple of things in the chat that I want to read. Chris Marketson is saying, would it be fair to say you want to maximize your pressure but not go over it? Yes. If you're running super optimally, you will use every point of pressure capacity. Because remember, every point of pressure is giving you a resource of some sort. You know, money, influence, research. I think those are the main things. Defense. An unused point of pressure is a resource you could be getting. So yeah, it would be great, and I've never been that good. It would be great if you could just totally fill every point of pressure. And yes, don't go over, because then it's inefficient. Tromic is saying pressure sounds cooler than capacity utilization. Because, oh, he said it is a boring economic thing regarding the direct link between output and capital assets. Oh my god, I almost fell asleep reading that. He says he took economics and most of what he remembers is the word collusion because his professor said it sounded like Job Bluth saying illusion. I love an Arrested Development reference. There's no place where that's not added value. All right, so we see here's our population streaming in to our drug planet. We'll use some hotkeys to speed up. Don't want to make the planets freak out. All right, there, last man has arrived. Now, you'll see our drug planet isn't making drugs. This little circle with the X through it is saying this is a planet that doesn't have resources being created. And we know why, I mean, because it's not high enough level. It needs to be level 2 to make a tier 2 good. Duh. How do we get it to level 2? Well, I thought oh no, it needs water and food to go to level 1. So a couple of easy ways to do this. I see here, I can just drag it onto there. Alternatively, and this reminds me again of Sins of a Solar Empire, and it just makes me want to go to the studios at the guys at Blind Mind Studios and do something nice for them, like wash their cars or something, because this is such an awesome thing. Look what I can do. Drag. Oh wait. Oh, I say that, and now maybe it's not going to work. Hold on. I'm not going to. Oh, there we go. I can just drag it within the tree. Maybe it's not. Hold on. Okay, I'm not coming to wash you guys' car because I'm not figuring this out. Did I do that right? Oh, yeah, I did do it. Okay, there. I got it. Didn't I? Or did I? Yeah, I did, because now you can see the blue line. So you'll see it's gone from the tree. That did work. In Sins of a Solar Empire, you could do that as well. You could click up here and build things. You could send different ships to different planets. So I love that that's an option here as well. Now, here's something that... Why did these turn off? That's... I'm not coming to wash you guys' car unless you fix this. Because I like everything turned on, even things that are irrelevant to me. Oh, fling bigot. Yeah, that's finally useful. It's happened a few times. I'm not sure why it turns off. Oh, here's something important, by the way. I am getting a little alert here, which will segue me to diplomacy. But let me make sure first that... Let me get my drug planet going. So we've given them food and water. Their population has to grow. It's saying required for level 1. They need a population of 2. It's only 3. I'm going to fast forward time. And it's only 1.8. It needs to be at 3. I'm going to fast forward, and you'll see as soon as it hits 3. How did their capacity just go up? I feel like I can figure that out. What do they have that's giving them an extra population capacity? I'm not sure. This is bad news. So there's a pirate now messing around. Pirates will give you an economic debuff, and that's what that is. Well, at any rate, they're now level 1. No, wait. Yep, they're now level 1. If they had a level 1 resource, they could export it. They don't. They have a level 2 resource. To go to level 2, they need another food and a tier 1 resource. Now, if I zoom, let me try this real quick. No, sorry, that's not it. Click here. So they need food and a level 1 resource. Let's drag that in there somewhere. So a level 1 resource, again, and this is going to set up this whole pyramid thing. Here's explosives. We're going to colonize this. And we know they're going to need food and water. So we'll colonize this. And, by the way, I don't have to sit here and wait for this to colonize before I send it here. I can drag that there. I can drag this here. No, we want it there. What are we going to feed them? We're going to feed them fish, colonize it, and drag it there. There. All that stuff is queued up right now. If I run the time forward a little bit, then we will see this water, these get colonized, water goes here, fish goes here, explosives, which is tier 1, goes here, enables drugs, and then we're going to pre-drag, drugs go there. Now, all of that, by the way, when this game came out, real quick, Firgaf is saying, let's see. Oh, very good. So a lot of times when I feel like the developers, so I said that mean thing about I'm not going to come watch the cars anymore because these things turned off. He is pointing out that these are connected to the tab, and I closed everything and went back to the home page, and so it reset all of this. Which, fair enough, that's exactly as it should be. Thank you for explaining that, Lucas. Left Empty says he is stunned by how smart and elegant the game looks so far, and stunned as well that he had it labeled as generic 4X game number 23 of 2015. Yeah, not that at all. And so I want to talk about when this came out. One of my... So I played it a fair amount. When it came out, I was super fascinated with what they are doing here. It's one of these games that I really wanted to dig into and see how it worked. But, and I think this is still kind of an issue, I would say it's not very well documented, and that tends to drive me batty. Because, as Left Empty says, it is smart and elegant, but it's also, in some very important ways, kind of inaccessible. All this stuff that I'm explaining to you, some of it is more apparent than other things. One of these tabs up here, by the way, is pretty awesome. There's a tutorial which I tried to play, and I don't know if so this is a pre-release version. I don't know if it's because it's a pre-release version, but I got to a point where the tutorial got stuck. So I just gave up on it anyway because I sort of knew the basic stuff it was telling me. But even once you get through the tutorial, a lot of this isn't like the way pressure works. Like it can be hard to figure out, and it takes a fair amount of incentive to sort of sit down and dig into the mechanics. This wiki that you get when you open this tab, and it's pulling it straight from a web page, it's messed up the formatting because because I'm zoomed in on the HUD. But if I zoom out a little bit, so you can see it's a regular wiki. And by the way, the top question, I love this. For the fact, what is pressure? And here's a brief explanation. But they do have, like for instance, here's a list of resources. I don't know if this is crowdsourced, but I love that this is here, but it's sometimes wanting. For instance, I was playing a game where I had gems. Gems are great. A tooltip told me what gems did. I was glad to get gems. I was looking here, I was like, oh wait, where are the gems? Because they do this thing with color coding, where common things, and you know this from MMOs. Common goods are white, and then the uncommon are blue, and then look, you get rares that are purple, and epics are yellow. So I was like, where are gems? How rare are gems? They were uncommon, by the way, but I don't see them here. So I don't know if that's an aspect of stuff that's in the add-on that's not updated. And this is fairly helpful to get a sort of an overview. This is, I guess, good enough for documentation. But when I was playing this a lot, I spent a lot of the time sort of learning it and figuring it out. And that was thrilling. I enjoyed that. But for all this smart, elegant stuff, I feel like it could have been delivered a little better. I mean, I would have liked to have had a neater package for the documentation. So, I never reviewed it because I never felt secure enough in terms of how well I understood it to basically say, hey, here's this game, whether or not it's good or bad. So, played it a lot, never reviewed it. Partly because I just feel like I didn't understand it as well as I should have. Okay. I don't know where I was going with that. We've got our drugs. Do we have our drugs going yet? We'll get there in a minute. I want to show you this alert down here. Another thing that that is unique about this game, and this is one of the first things that I understood and figured out. Let's see, real quick. Zergoff is saying... oh, no, okay, that's about something else. The diplomacy system. So this is telling me, hey, there's something important to look at, and there's a time limit there. And that is important, by the way. And even in the tab up here, saying, hey, there's something you should look at. So I go to diplomacy. Here's me. I don't know anybody else in the galaxy. They're out there. I just haven't found them, of course. And one of them, does it say who? One of them has proposed a vote. Let me go back. Here, see on the tooltip, there's a bunch of question marks where I can see what the actual activity is, but I can't see who's doing it because I haven't met them yet. So in lieu of an alien race's name, there are 3 question marks. So something is going on in the Galactic Senate, even if I don't really know who's doing it. So if I go here to diplomacy, you can at any given time have one zeitgeist. I'm so used to being zoomed out a little. Let me try to get a nice compromise so it looks there. At any given time, you can have a zeitgeist. It'll be an active effect. Right now, oh, we do have one. Right now, we have a zeitgeist called cooperation. Somebody, the question mark people, are trying to overthrow it with a zeitgeist called actualization. And this is a lot how the diplomacy works, is a proposal gets put out, there are votes in favor of it, and votes opposed to it. I'm going to click on it here and show you the interface. Right now, there are 9 votes in favor of this, 8 votes against it. I haven't cast any of them. I don't have a dog in this fight. It's the other 2 AI guys arguing with each other. If this, and when the votes change, by the way, the timer resets. So if there are 2 votes against this, it'll reset, and then this will start slowly going over here. When it reaches one side or the other, this will either pass or fail. And as you can see on this tooltip, if it passes, the person who voted the most for it gets a bonus. If it fails, the person who voted against it the most also gets a bonus. So actualization says it reduces research cost. Oh, no, it only reduces it for the guy who, the guy who most supported it gets reduction for research. If somebody opposed it and caused it to fail, they just get a great, permanent income boost. Now, why would you want it to pass or fail? Well, you can see at the top next to that asterisk, while it's in effect, all empires go 30% faster when gaining attitude levels. I'll show you what those are in a minute. But it basically boosts your income in one of the game's important resources. So why wouldn't you want that, right? You might not want it because everybody else wants it. It's helping everyone. I've just met someone, so I can now see who is giving the 8 votes. Does this mean 8 votes in favor? I think so. Where did the other vote come from? I don't know. But I've met these guys. I know that they want this to pass. And if it passes, it will overthrow this one, which is in effect right now, which is cooperation. What does cooperation do? Oh, everybody gets a budget income bonus if they're not at war with the person who passed it. Okay. So that's how proposals work. Now, how did they get to do that? How did these guys get to propose this? How did these guys down here get to propose this? Here are my cards. And yes, these are totally cards, for a reason I'll show you in a minute. If I click on this, I use a card. Let me pause. This is a march, it's a procession of cards that are marching through here in real time, as time passes. Somewhere, isn't there oh, right here. In 1 second, I'll show you. This negotiate thing, in 1 second, it's going to slide off and a new card is going to come out. It's gone. Now, someone already bought it, but if no one had bought it, it would be gone. This is now up for grabs. These cards let me do things like try to pass a new zeitgeist. They also let me do all kinds of sneaky things. These right here I started with because of my government type. I didn't buy these yet. If I want this card, let me show you a super easy one. Negotiate lets you, it's going to cost me 2 influence. And I've got 19 influence out of my capacity of 4. I can go over my capacity, but it super slows down my income rate. So if I spend this for 2, if I buy this for 2, which I'm going to do, it is now in here and can be used, and these hash marks mean, aha, everybody else, no one gets it. There's my picture. I bought it. What does this do? If I spend 2 influence now, when I use it, that's what it's going to cost. Its weight is 2. And what does weight mean? Weight is votes up here. So if I used that negotiate, it wouldn't be enough to actually overturn these people opposing it. But that's how you swing this one way or the other, is you're using different cards. What's another one? Leverage or something. Oh, ancient knowledge is a good one. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. Ancient knowledge is just like negotiate, but it's more powerful. Instead of spending 2 influence to get 2 votes, I spend 4 influence to get 6 votes. And I can use it twice. It has 2 charges. These cards here do all kinds of crazy things. So for instance, let me see, is there one out? Protect system is okay. Protect system will basically mean my planet is immune to being captured for 15 minutes. No matter how many ships are besieging it, I play this card for 9 influence. It's going to take this 35% upkeep. It's going to drain my income of influence while it lasts, but it means my planet can't be captured. Hugely useful. By the way, these stars, they're varying powers of Protect System as a card. And these stars show you basically how powerful of a Protect System it is. So all of this here, as these cards march out, and I'll show you on the main screen, this little thing up here is a representation of what cards are available and how long until they slide out and a new one appears. All right, I'll zoom in. All right, good Lord, I could show you so much. Let's see where to go to now. So we don't care if this passes. Yeah, you know what? We want this to pass. Because here's something new that they added in this game. In the expansion, if you buy the expansion, you get a new feature called Attitudes. Now, I mentioned before that government is just part of your startup. Like your government choice determines what ships you start with, what cards you start with. Every government gives you a starting bonus. And after eventually you develop your empire long enough that your initial government didn't matter much. What takes up the slack for that is this new feature called Attitudes. Your government also gives you, I think it's your government, yeah, a starting attitude. And here's the attitude screen. I am reverent, because I'm the religious people, by the way. When you're reverent, if I get 3 artifacts, then I am going to earn this bonus here. If I then get more artifacts, I'll show you on this. Here's the whole reverent tree. If I get 5 artifacts, I get this bonus. 10, I get this. 15, I get this. If I get 20 artifacts, if I activate 20 artifacts, they're like spells, I get this right here, which is going to be awesome. So the reverent people want to use artifacts. Now you will notice delinquent is crossed out because these are opposing. I can't take both of them. I could take any one of these, but you can't take 2 opposing things. If I were delinquent, instead, as I destroy remnant fleets, or like they're the neutral defenders you might find. They're creeps, basically. If I'm delinquent, as I kill creeps, I get bonuses. So the measure that is currently being proposed in diplomacy, if this passes, sorry, I gotta zoom out just a little. Is that too bad for you guys? Because that's how I'm used to the layout. If this passes, everybody's going to develop their attitude 30% faster, and I want that. So let's slap some ancient knowledge on them. There, we are now +3. The timer has reset. Hopefully this will pass. And you know what? If they knock it down, I'll just use some ancient knowledge or negotiation to raise it again. This one right here, call out, is it's going to add 3 votes at the cost of 4 influence, but it does also, what is this? Call it another empire by name. Pressure them to weigh in on the vote publicly or face blowback. Giving them this opportunity increases the impact of their next action. So basically, I can pick one of the. I can only pick the race I've seen, and I can play this card on them. Seems like an awfully expensive thing to do for 3. But I guess if they're my friends, if they're doing things I like, it makes their next action increase the impact of their next action. Okay. And maybe, by the way, I don't have any of these cards. Like maybe that's the only card I have available to use. All right, so let's run time. We will now see this down here will alert me. Oh, they knocked 1 point away from it. So somebody's probably the guys. There's only 2 other races. And I actually get a countdown, like I can see it with timestamps, the progress. So someone used a card called Ancient Intuition, and the guys who are supporting it just countered that, so let them fight it out. This is a message just telling me that I met a new race. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to try to get something going. This is a remnant fleet, by the way. Let's use our... Let me show you combat, because there's some really nice space porn in this game. Does my Dreadnought have a fleet? Yes. Oh, that's a fling beacon. Alright. So, here's my Dreadnought. I'm going to use the fling beacon, I think. Is that true? Yeah. To come over here and attack this remnant fleet. So this remnant fleet, here's a little little taste of space porn for a second. These are neutral guys. It's a flagship, and then all these little things are support ships. There's a little support ship. And things tend to come in fleets. It's not just individual ships. They seem to be attacking something. Are they attacking my ships? That, by the way, big explosion. Not an explosion. That was me arriving. The weapon ranges in this game. I'll show you another cool interface thing. Here's my flagship. Let me pause. If I hit Control F, I can see my weapon ranges, and they're color-coded. Purple is missiles, and even, by the way, the firing arc. I think yellow is rail guns. I could check that if I wanted. So, even at this distance, basically, halfway across this solar system, I can fire. It's abstracted, but it's super helpful to be able to see this. I'll turn that off to give us unfettered view of the space porn. So you can see now there are missiles being exchanged. Here are beam weapons. Alright, now here's the space porn. Watch this. I can crank the time down to 0.1, and I can just get in here and fly around and enjoy some space porn. And if I click on any ship and hit Z for zoom, I can then scroll around it. Speed it up a little bit. Now, let's say I just wanted to enjoy this. How do I know who's winning? Where are the hit point bars over the ships? Actually, you can sort of see that gunship's health. Is there a key where I can see everybody's health? Oh, by the way, there's even like debris that floats around as things blow up. What you want to look at, I'm going to zoom out again, because this game definitely plays. There's no tactical stuff. I mean, facing matters. You'll note there are firing arcs, but you're not messing with different powers and stuff like that. You are basically playing at a zoomed out strategic level. So you can come in here and enjoy the space porn if you want. But to know how the battle is going, zoom out and just click on the different flagships. This right here is the flagship, and it encompasses its strength, involves all of what are called its support ships. A support ship never just flies around alone. A flagship might. But a flagship can have, most of them, can have support ships, and they're figured into that flagship's strength. And remember, strength is basically the health multiplied by the damage per second. So this guy's down to 678. Let's see how I'm doing. I am at 1.3 thousand. So I'm clearly winning. As long as you look at these numbers, it's a really good indicator of who's going to win a battle. You don't have to mess around with lasers against shields and missiles versus armor. That stuff can come into play, by the way. It looks like I've got shields. I do have shields. That stuff can come into play, but it's basically a matter of paying attention to these numbers. Alright, so I'm going to blow those guys up. Now remember, if I had been delinquent, by destroying these fleets, I could build up bonuses for being delinquent. So these attitudes, by the way, did the measure pass? It did. It is now in effect. So I'm getting a bonus on building up my attitudes. Now, what attitudes are? You guys played Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, right? I should say Brian Reynolds' Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. This reminds me a little. It's not quite as in depth, but if you remember, they had this idea of social engineering. And you kind of configured the game rules based on what kind of like government and religion and labor laws you had. And there were certain like opposing values that you had. You had to make really difficult, mutually exclusive choices. Fergoff is saying the shields on my flagship are literally shields of faith. I want to go look at that. There's a super detailed shipbuilding feature in here. Some people hate shipbuilding features, and I don't understand that, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. So it looks like I might have some special shields based on having my religious values. So these are mutually exclusive to each other, and they kind of remind me of the social engineering in Alpha Centauri, in that I can make choices, and my choices give me just a list of rewards. Now, some of the theming here feels a little bit forced, but it works. Like, you're basically incentivized to play this way. So, for instance, let's look at some of them. Materialism versus generosity. This is one of them that feels kind of forced, by the way. So, materialism, you know what that means. If you just spend money boosting materialism, actually, let's go for it. I can take materialism. You might be asking, well, why don't you just pick one, like from a menu, pick one of each? Because when I take materialism for 5 influence, I've got 9. What happened to my influence? Oh, I bought all those cards. If I take materialism, now, this here, as I dump money into it, it's just spending money, I'm getting these bonuses. You'll note if I then want to take another attitude, it's going to cost me 10. So they get increasingly expensive. I can't now take generosity. Materialism is something you dump money into. That makes sense. Generosity, as you buy cards, like that implies generosity, which there's no real mechanic in the game for, I don't know, being charitable or helping the poor or anything like that. So they've just gone with this idea that generosity is involved in buying diplomacy cards. And these are the bonuses you get. So attitudes are persistent bonuses that you spend. They encourage that you buy with influence, and they encourage you to play certain ways. So now I've basically got a build that is saying spend money and activate artifacts. Actually, I've never been materialistic before. How do I spend that money? Oh, here we go. A button, of course. Look at all this money I've got. Yeah. Can I just buy all the way up? Oh, there's no waiting time. Colony ship acceleration is nice because you remember that long string of ships flies from wherever I have population to wherever I'm colonizing. Now it's faster. What's this one? Gain extra special funds whenever you gain any. I'm not sure what special funds are, but I want that. Besides, I can afford it. What is this one? Borrowing money from the next budget cycle no longer costs... if I spend more than this, which I need to do something about this. Let's, by the way, change this. If I spend more than this, it gets taken out of the next cycle with a penalty. But now, I don't have to pay as much of a penalty anymore. Oh, it looks like I don't pay any penalty. What is this one? Reduces labor costs of orbitals. Oh, I want that. Oh, aha! It took me a couple of steps to get there. Oh, right. Okay, they're in increments of 500,000. Finally, all resources of tier 2 or higher produce extra pressure. So again, this is one of the things where I'm like, why are you calling it pressure? That seems like something I wouldn't want. And there's even that icon. Looks like a dial, like the steam pressure. Like you don't want that to build up in the red. But yes, I do want more pressure. So I'm definitely going to... whoops. Okay, so I don't have unlimited funds, but look here. I will speed up time. When this up here fills up, I'm going to get a huge income dump. There. And now... Oh, no, I'm maxed out. Yeah, good. Alright, so I am super materialistic. Let's see about being reverent. How can I be reverent? Oh, and by the way, let's say that something happened in the game, and I suddenly totally need to be generous. I can do that by simply discarding this one. It's going to cost me a lot of influence, and then I'll be able to buy this one. So let's see about becoming more reverent by activating some artifacts. We may not have even found any. Yes, we have. One of the tabs here, what is this card? Okay, this is new as well, so I feel like, let me show you that. You know what, I'll show you that in a second. This tab here is for artifacts. Artifacts are things lying around the galaxy that were left by, I don't know, precursors or something. I'll just press Z to zoom in. This is an artifact. It's a protoplanet. How many sci-fi games do you know that have protoplanets? What is a protoplanet? Well, you're looking at one. So protoplanet, many artifacts just look like kind of actually little black globes that have some special ability. This protoplanet if I hold the cursor over it, it's a planet still in the process of forming. If I spend energy, and if you remember, energy is kind of like mana in this game. If I spend energy, I can then activate it, which turns it into a planet. Is this more explicit? Yeah. Manipulate the planet's formation by expending a large amount of energy. That's 900. It will produce a random tier 0 resource. So if I spend 900 energy out of my 0, I can activate this artifact, which is why we're going to start shunting our extra money into energy. Another way you can get energy, by the way, pressure. I can build things, but there's pressure that gives you energy. Because it's mana, though, it's kind of, I don't recall easy ways to get energy, but I know it's in there. Let's look at the other artifact we've found, and I think these 2 dots here, I could be wrong, I think it means I can use it. I can't use it twice. Why does it have 2 dots? I do not understand. I don't know why it has those 2 dots there. Let's look at our other one, an espionage probe. There, this is what most artifacts look like. It looks kind of like a little sphere that's been popped open. What does the espionage probe do? If I spend 750 energy, I can basically spy on someplace in the galaxy, which I imagine will be super useful for me since my scouts are not very nimble. Where are my scouts? Let's see. I think my scouts did. Yeah, I think my scouts got killed when I wasn't. Oh no, wait. There's a scout. Is that a scout? It's my dreadnought that fought the. Yes, that's one of my scouts. One of them apparently died. Fair enough. So this guy is out at the very tip of the spiral arm. I can actually move him here. So remember, these gray lines are just for the sake of adjacency. I can fly anywhere around in here that I want. So he's going to take his time. He'll eventually get there. I can't build out here yet because I haven't inhabited a planet in here, which I will now fix. Spice. That spice was like rare. I'm thinking of a different game, I guess. Pechelm is an odd one. All right, let's look at Pechelm. So I've already got the bonus for colonizing more quickly. This stuff here increases acceleration by 100%. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks like pressure gives you defense pressure. This resource here, remember, there's this colonial model where someplace creates something and then it has to give all of it to its parent planet. So this little bonus here for colony ships going faster only applies where the Pechelm actually ends up. And if you remember from the wiki, the blue stuff means, I believe, uncommon. So if I were to develop this planet, which I should, and then send the Pechelm back to my capital planet, that would help colonization even more. By the way, here's what I was looking for before. I don't know why I didn't see it. This right here just breaks down for you how you get planets to level up. You always need water. To get from level 0 to level 1, you need water. Then each successive level is going to need another food. So if I want to be level 5, I'm going to need 5 sources of food. There's a lot of people to feed there. In addition, at each level, you need that tier resource. To go up again, you need again one of each of that tier and lower resource. Well, you can see here. You don't need me to explain. So basically, for me to be level 5, I need 1, 2, 3, 4 tier 1 resources. No, 5, 6 tier 1 resources. So a level 5 planet has to have all these basic goods flowing into it. And if you remember, all of these resources, I'm pretty sure all of them, provide pressure. And that pressure provides either energy or defense or research or influence, those sorts of things. So by virtue of all these tier 1 planets sending stuff into my capital then creates a bunch of awesome things. And in addition to getting 3 defense pressure, some of the resources give you a special bonus. In this case, Pechelm makes your colony ships travel faster. I have no idea what that is, by the way. Is that a word of something I don't know? Is it maybe from Star Wars or something? Pony Carnival is asking, is Star Wars 3 going to be called Star Yardstick? I got that. I understood that joke. Tom MC says for the amount of information the UI is trying to get across, he's pretty impressed. And he says he hopes Stellaris took some notes. I do as well. I love what Paradox does, but I sometimes feel like they're a little bit ossified with their gameplay models. Hello, Mr. Lebedev. Good to see you here. Firgov says we got lots of nonsense resources mixed in with the real ones. So yeah, Peckhelm is not something that any of us should know what it is. All right, so let's. Sorry, I wish I could be playing more, but okay. Okay, we've got some energy that is building up. There's our research. Good lord, so many things to show you guys here. So you start with this little science node in the middle. I think I have this as maybe why is this lit up? Is it lit up? I don't know. Yeah, because I don't have any of these. I don't know why those are lit up. Doesn't matter because what I do know. Actually, could I get this? No. So I can, for whatever reason, maybe it's my government, I can jump to this without working my way over there. Huh, okay. I guess there are additional starting nodes for some races. Does that mean I can... I don't know why that's working that way. Corky says, isn't Peckhelm a soccer player? I would believe that. Alright, so the way that science works, you will see, as long as I can pay the cost, I'll show you here, if I want phase harmonic, let's just go to a basic one. Metallurgy increases the labor I get from a factory, and I happen to know that I have one factory at my capital planet. Factories give you labor. Labor is super important. I'll tell you about that in a second. If I have metallurgy, my factories are more efficient, so I definitely want this. For 500 research and 60 seconds, I can buy it. And by the way, you'll see, oh, you're making things there. If I do that, I've paid for it. It is now concurrently being researched. In 60 seconds, I will have metallurgy. Which means when you do that thing that you'll do a lot of times in a strategy game, where you're playing and you're paying attention to one of the systems, or you're fighting a battle, you look up and you're like, oh my god, I have 800 gold. What can I do with that? It's okay with research. You're all right because you just buy the things you want and spend this. Tactical satellites, I'm not that worried about that now. Let's work our way over here. So what I like to do here is look at these fun things and work my way towards them. Because once you get out to the edges of these trees, there's some really awesome things. Normally when you capture a planet, you just stand around and take some time and you spend supplies, the idea being you're bombarding it. Troop pods are a way of circumventing that whole stand around and siege. Okay, these, by the way, I think they had a ring habitat before, or no, I think they had a ring world before, which you build a ring around a star. One of these is new, but you can build a population ring around a planet or around a star. And remember, population is hugely important. It determines how much your pressure capacity, your income. Firgov is pointing out that different races have their own little mutations in the tech web, which is what that was, why I could start out there. What are some of these other ones that I know about for sure? Oh, you'll also get new hull types. I haven't even talked about flagships yet. So there are a few kinds of flagships that you start with. I have dreadnoughts, there's battleships, there's carriers. As you unlock these hulls, there's superstructure, there's a destroyer, there's one other one. What was the other one up here? There's one that's just a support flagship. You guys were probably seeing it in your... Well, at any rate, there are different kinds of flagships. A superstructure hull lets you spend ore, which is one of the things you get from asteroids, to basically make it less expensive to build and maintain. A destroyer hull can't bring with it any fleet ships. It just sits alone, but it gets huge bonuses with the kinds of weapons it has, and how much. It's basically like a standalone F things up kind of ship. Where is that support ship? Because I like there's a support flagship that can't have any weapons, but instead can build huge fleets. One of the I don't know about probably. I mean, I guess you eventually learn it, but it's not like I can pull the research down from a drop-down menu. I have to remember where on this tech web it is. I'll have to take my word for it. Maybe one of the guys in chat can tell me what that particular hall is. So that unlocks new options for flagships. So one of the new things they have in the expansion is flagships gain veterancy. As you fight other fleets, I think whenever you kill a flagship, its main ship, you get XP, experience points. And it makes it more powerful. I think it's basically just more damage, more health. If you want, if you research simulators and you put it on a ship, it's a module, then it gets its own slow build-up of experience points without having to fight. The broadcast antenna is a little propaganda tool. You put it on a ship and you fly it out to the enemy, to someone else's planet. They don't even have to be an enemy, and it gives them this propaganda buff. What you can see there on the tooltip. And it spins influence. It looks like. It spins influence to build it. Moving planets around. Who doesn't want that, right? And all these. So there's a really detailed ship building. Ship design thing here, and a lot of these like unlock new components for your ship. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't want. Oh, this is awesome. A star forge. Is that the thing that eats a star? Yeah. So it gives you labor. Labor's important because in this game you're not building buildings. You are building, because remember that comes from pressure. But you do sometimes build those super expensive buildings like that farm I showed you. You build ships, of course. When you add support ships to a flagship to make the fleet bigger, that you're building those things. And I love to, well, you can order this. You can click on the flagship and just order up like what support ships you want there. You don't have to go to a factory and queue it up. You build things called orbitals, which are stations. And when you build those, you use a resource called labor. And if you remember, my only labor at this point is the factory on my homeworld. So if I build a star forge, it creates labor in the system at the cost of eating up the star, right, in the middle there. What was that BioWare Star Wars game that had, didn't it have like a big factory that ate a star as well? But anyway, so this is a way to get labor. You can make your own planets, I believe. So what you do here is you don't have to make a beeline. You could sort of spread it around and get different bonuses in different areas, or you can make a beeline for one of these really cool late game things. Alright, let me real quick spend some more. What do I want to go for? Oh, I don't know. So you don't get shields by default. I think it was pointed out that as a religious race I have these faith shields. But if you come up here and wait, where's the shields? Are something that you have to research. And they are on here somewhere as well. Oh, I guess I don't have to research them because I already have them. But these buff your shields, basically. This one, I believe, makes your shield stronger. This one gives your support ships shields. No, is that not it? There's one that... Oh, is this one it? Yeah, this one. As you take damage... let's see. So it sends its damage out to your support fleet, I guess. So you can get shields, and then you can research different modifiers for them. Satellites are orbitals. This is like, I think, a defense satellite. A solar satellite. Here's another example of pressure. You build a solar satellite, increases the pressure given by that planet's native resource by... Oh! So you build a solar satellite, and the planet gets +1, whatever it's sending out. It creates another point of pressure. So if you've got your capital planet and you've still got a lot of unused pressure capacity, build solar satellites around the other planets. That's nice. Oh, you know what? I should have worked my way over there. If I was playing a boom game, for instance, I would definitely want that. I'll work my way over there. Some of the techs you can buy with things other than research, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, for instance, here. So I can buy this with research normally when I work my way over to obedience, or I can buy it with influence points. I like that they do that. Alright, let's see, where to go now? Left Empty suggests that Pechelm was one of the later wizardry games. At least I believe that's what he's suggesting. Okay, let's see. We're not using food. Let's get our home planet up. Let's see if we can get it to level 3. So one more food and a level 2 resource, which means first we have to make a level 2 resource. Wait, is this not being sent out? This is not being sent out. What is the holdup here? He needs food. Oh, and I even did that before. You guys didn't remind me. And look, here's my food. There. So here we have an alert that pressure capacity is being exceeded. Oh, it's not anymore. So this place that is developing our drugs has a pressure capacity of 4. I think before, when it was lower level, it would have been lower. And I can see, by the way, this base, which gives it defense points, that's built because it's got explosives coming in. Where did those go? Oh yeah, I can see right here. Explosives give you defense pressure. So because explosives are coming in here, it's going to build up bases, and this defense rating is going to build up a fleet, a defensive fleet around this planet. And when that fills up, I think it spills out to other planets. How close are we? So we need 6 more points of population. And I'll just speed this up, and then that'll send our drugs onto our capital. And while I'm running the time, all of that extra money I'm not spending is just getting shunted into my energy. We'll go fire off the artifacts in a minute, and then increase our reverence. Alright, so we have drugs, and you will see, by the way, now there's that little red arrow saying, hey, the drugs are being sent away. So we can come over to our home planet. They now need, they're getting drugs, all this stuff is lit up. They just need 1 more food, and then they'll go to level 3. So let's find food. Here's some fish. We will colonize this. And you might be wondering, like, why don't I just colonize everything? And I kind of, because my population, when it fills up, are they leaving from here? It looks like they're coming from, where are they coming from? Oh, yeah, okay. So they're not even coming from my homeworld. There was enough population at this drug planet, and I guess it was closer, which makes sense. So because my population here had been bumped up against the limit, I was basically wasting growth, wasn't I? Because if I depleted it a little bit to cycle some of that population to another planet, then the growth would have been replenishing it. So I was peaked out at my population. So the reason you don't just willy-nilly settle all the different planets, I think I mentioned this before, is because the basic level planets are a money sink. Now, I've got plenty of money to spare, so I might as well do that, and that's how you build up an economy. But that's a trap that I certainly, when I was learning to play, I fell into many times. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to develop all kinds of stuff. I know how to fit these resources together. Oh, look at this. This gives me pressure and this bonus. Of course I want that at my capital. And so I'm building up all this stuff, and then you look up and you're like, oh my God, why is my income so low? And it's because these take a bite out of your bottom line. Okay, so Firgoff is reminding me something about my particular race. So my people are religious, and they have at the home planet a shrine. Altar, sorry. A shrine is something I think that's on the ship. It eats resources, it looks like. And it must be constructed for all devout population. Okay. So it looks like if I do not, all your fleets and planets without altars will become increasingly godless, leading to decreased efficiency in production. We don't want that, and Firgoff is saying that that hurts, that that's a bad debuff. So the way we counter that, and that's a new subsystem that I haven't learned yet, which is cool. Oh, by the way, real quick, this right here is a pirate ship. I didn't mean to show you that because that's a little daunting. That's part of the shipbuilder. This pirate ship flies around and is a total dick. See this strength, by the way? I don't know if you remember our fleet, but this is the game's way of saying, you might want to work on a military. So its strength is 163k. Now you might be thinking, okay, what's the frame of reference for that? Let's go to my flagship. Its strength is 2k. So that pirate is not something that I'm going to be able to deal with immediately. And what does he do? Like, is he going to be like a barbarian and occupy my cities or destroy my planets? Nope. He is going to fly around and add this debuff right here called blockaded. Some of the civilian trade ships carrying this planet's imports were shot down. As a result, the planet produces one less of a random resource for each stack of blockading. So it's basically just an economic debuff. And you can turn that off, but I think what it does is incentivize building up a military to go fight those guys. Alright, so let's see about this altar business. Because Firgov pointed out that if you spread with this race too rapidly, they become godless. You basically, it seems like, need to build churches. So, how do we do stuff like that? Let's look at a planet's surface. So the arm goes this way, so we'll look over here. So this is our fish planet. It's feeding someplace. Here are the buildings you can build. I'm guessing altar is one of them. Yeah, here's an altar. It doesn't have a maintenance cost, which is very good. I like that. It's going to cost me 300k. I can totally do that. Actually, what's the disincentive for building this? Wherever I build this, let's see. I guess it doesn't matter what it's on. Let's put this one out over here. Now, a lot of these buildings need labor. Am I going to be able to build this? Oh yeah, I guess so. So it's just money. Fergoff replaces the native resource. I think you're... Oh, you're talking about the blockaded debuff? Okay, so I have an altar now, right? Nope, almost 80%. Oh, maybe he's explaining godlessness. Godlessness replaces the native resource. I guess they don't export anything? At any rate, if I'm a religious race, godlessness is not something I want. Oh, altars. That's what it means to sacrifice. Oh, it even says altars replace the native resources of the planet. Oh! So whatever this planet was going to export, it no longer exports. I don't know what I just lost, but that's good, and that's good to know. But it even says in the tooltip. That's hilarious. All right, so whatever was... Oh, that was the food! Oh my god, okay, so there's no longer fish on that planet because all the fish is now being eaten up by the altar. That's hilarious. So, now, here's one... in a game like Civilization, you build cities, you build an army, you bump into another race, and you have a fight, and your armies go out in the field, and they beat up on each other, and maybe you lose a city, and therefore you lose that city's income, so you build another one, or you make do. Star Ruler 2 has a... When you get in a battle in Star Ruler 2, when you start losing planets, there's this sense of a house of cards falling down. Now, you can pause this game at any time. If I lose a planet, I can pause the game. I can come up here and rejigger my economy as needed. But what happens is, if for want of that food, all of this could collapse, basically, if I'm not careful, depending on where the food was going. If the food was going to a Tier 1 resource, and now that guy isn't getting that food anymore, and that Tier 1 resource isn't going to that 2-tier resource, and that one's not going to my capital, there's definitely a ripple effect that you can suffer. So when you get into wars, when you start losing planets, it really hurts. And there can be a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily call it micromanagement because, as was pointed out before, distance doesn't really matter. And this is pretty clear what's going on here. You know, if they need water, I can just drag it from somewhere. Oh, here's this is hilarious. That's the altar planet. So, yeah, it cannot be dragged anywhere because it doesn't provide anything. I love that. What is this times 2? Oh, I see. So there's the blockade, by the way. So he's got 2 blockade icons. That's annoying. So yeah, so when you fight battles here, it's not as easy as just simply losing a city and you make do, you build another one. Pieces, it's like Jenga pieces can be pulled out of your economy. I've just been called in the chat channel a regular Miriam Godwinson. To which I say, oh, thank you very much. That's a very kind thing to say. Let's look at some of these cards real quick. Oh, one of the cool things, let me show you one of these attitudes. I forget which one it is. Yeah. So warmongering, of course, you get your bonuses there by conquering planets. You just send a fleet over, you park around the planet, eventually you bombard the population into submission, and you capture it. The more planets you get, the more you go up the warmongering thermometer. That's what these look like to me, by the way, thermometers. And the more bonuses you get. The opposite of warmongering is scheming. Scheming, you go up that tree by annexing planets. What does that mean, you ask? Let's go ahead and take that. No, I don't want to spend all my... So, you'll note my income for influence is 0. Why is that? A couple of reasons. I have not been putting influence from extra money here. I've been building up a lot of energy. Also, I don't apparently have any pressure that gives influence to any of my cities. Certain goods would create that. I might now want to go out because you will note I've got a lot of planets to choose from here. I haven't really been developing stuff. I've just been sort of willy-nilly creating things. So at this point, I might want to go out and find some place that gives me influence pressure and make sure to incorporate that into my empire. So if I were to be a scheming race who is encouraged to get in-game bonuses by annexing planets, how do I do that? Well, I build up influence, and then in the diplomacy, I look for cards like this that say Annex System. I buy them for my 6 influence, and then I can later use them by targeting a planet, and I think it calls a vote. Yeah. There is then a vote, which if you recall, the same way that that zeitgeist effect was put into play. People can vote for it and against it. I can use my negotiate cards, my ancient knowledge cards, anything that adds weight, which is this icon here, to support that measure. If the measure passes, you can tell by the name, oh, I annex the whole system, good lord. So they're annexed planets. Oh, I can even see it right here. This right here annexes a single planet. This annexes the entire system. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, 6 influence to annex a system? No, no, no. The influence cost will depend on, it'll probably say here, yeah, the influence cost to play it depends on the loyalty of the planets. So I can buy this for 6 influence, but actually passing it, the cost of the influence here, as well as any influence I might need to spend to boost the vote, will be super expensive. So if I were to be scheming, and I'm not getting much influence, I would be a pretty bad schemer. But I love that you don't have to necessarily militarily conquer planets. And by the way, the AI uses these. You will definitely see the AI annex planets, including your own. The AI is super... it's a real delight to see all these cool tools, and their gameplay tools, marching by, and to see them sometimes come back and bite you in the ass. And you can see what the AI builds. I guess like any card game, if you were to pay attention to what cards someone is drawing, you might get a sense of what they're doing. I don't pay that close. It seems like that would be micromanagement, by the way. If you were try to watch what cards someone is buying to figure out what they're doing, but it is public knowledge when a card is bought. And by the way, if you have a sharp eye, it will also show up here. And I guess if so these icons, I wonder if you're supposed to recognize these, because these are obviously the annex icons. But at any rate, there's an alert up here in the upper right. All right, so let's see. Let's get some influence going. So let's pretend I really want influence, which I do. So what I might do now is look around at what goods, and this is this an interface? Well, this is where I'd love a list, and I don't know what they would do. I mean, they've done such a great job with the interface as is, but I think is it in Masters of Orion? I seem to recall you could pull up a list that would show you all the uncolonized planets, and then you could filter the list by size or whether or not it's toxic or how hospitable it is. I kind of wish there was something like that here, but there isn't, so I'll make do. What is a degenerate planet? Oh, degenerate matter. So here, this is research pressure. Let's see, what else? And also, some of this is kind of intuitive. Electronics give you money. Degenerate matter. Is that intuitive that creates research? I can figure that out. Luxury materials, influence, of course. I can see on the tooltip, by the way. There's the name of the planet, uncolonized, the good, and then it tells you with an icon what resource it produces. Let me just real quick, yeah. So we are looking for influence. Natural gas gives you energy. Explosives gives you defense. We know that. Aluminum is one that gives you extra labor. And if you remember, labor is used for building things like orbitals and ships. My altars don't need labor. Here, oh no, spice. Wait, didn't I just see? Oh yeah, luxury materials is what I want. So luxury materials and spice. Where did you go, luxury materials? I thought I saw, yeah, right there, luxury materials. So let's then, so I know this is level 0. If I click on it, I'll need to colonize it first, but then it's going to need water and food. So let's get this started. We will colonize that one for influence, and we will colonize this spice planet for influence. Each one is going to need food and water. I could look up here and see if there was any unused food and water, which there is not. So here we will get food here, and I saw a bunch of water somewhere. There's a water, and then we're going to need one more food and one water. There's a water. And is there a food? Oh, there was the water there. I don't know what the different colors of water mean. I don't think anything. We needed another food, right? And there's a food. One of the reasons I ask about the colors of water, that tooltip there, it says any water resource. It looks like there's yellow, red, teal, purple, and blue water. I don't know what that is. Firgoff is saying, oh, that's an excellent point, because I even found that before. See this in the upper corner here? It says, go! It's a very spirited, for such a tiny icon, it has a lot of spirit. What that does, the enter key will do the same thing. It calls up this little search box. I haven't messed with this much. What if I put influence? Let's see, what if I put resource? Yeah, so there are some things. I wonder if it'll help me find a particular planet. Joros? Oh, it will go to this system. Very cool. Oh, Firgoff is pointing out that those different colors of water, there are 2 waters, reactive water. Okay, so there are different types of water. Oh, and he's saying a legacy resource. It used to be you could combine them. Okay. If you put in a particular resource and it's known to you in the... Oh, okay. This must be very frustrating because of the lag, Firgoff. Sorry about that. So he's pointing out that if I then type in the particular resource, it will take me there. So, oh yeah, it even said, by the way, luxury materials, find resource. There's even a button right there. Very good. That is helpful. That is kind of what I want. We have a measure trying to be passed here. So this is not a zeitgeist thing. Uh, Open election. Let's see what this is. An open election for Galactic. So I believe this is new in the expansion. Is the Senate can get a leader. We're having an election for that. If it passes, the most supportive empire becomes the Senate leader. What's the most supportive empire? The most votes for. Why would you oppose it? Because you don't want that guy to be it. I want to be Senate leader. And I'm getting... Oh my god, look at what happened to my influence. Yeah, I'm definitely calling dibs on Senate leader. So I've got 6 votes. He's got 2 votes. Where's the other vote coming from? Maybe... I don't know. But I'm going to be Senate leader. I'm going to see what that does. Now, we've got a minute down. It'll alert me if someone tries to... Alright, fine. I'll just use negotiate. Oh, good lord, everybody's spending now. See, I love that the AI knows, hey, this is kind of cool. Where can I buy more weight? Ah, see, there's none for sale here. Well, hopefully they don't have a bunch of cards to outbid me. Oh, based on my government type, by the way, here's one of the cards I started with, Host Senate Building. This is a measure I can pass, and if I pass it, this is like a Wonder of the World that gives me a permanent influence bonus. Oh, Mall of the Galaxy, I think, is one of those as well. Constructing, it's a Wonder of the World. It has a cost. What does it do? The targeted planet becomes home. All construction on the planet will have a reduced build cost. Different size. So yeah, I imagine this would be a great thing to have at your home world. But I think it's a... Oh no, you buy this. So this isn't a vote thing. Alright, speaking of a vote thing... Oh, wait. Ah! Did someone become Senate leader while I wasn't paying attention? I don't know what just happened to that. I wasn't watching. Alright. Since I am reverent, let's use artifacts. So, artifacts, one of these little tabs over here, this one is all the artifacts I've discovered. Energy, oh, let's see. Fairgoff is saying mono won the vote. So yeah, I wasn't looking. By the way, I blame you guys. I was showing you, and I lost the vote for Senate leader. Oh, also all of this is queued up now, so let's get our luxury resources going. So we know that they need... oh, and I can just drag it up here. They need a water, and they need a food. They need a water, and they need a food. Although, let me see, I did something wrong there. Luxury materials. Because it is a tier 1. Oh, I guess nothing, yeah, not everything is colonized yet. It's just saying, so we're waiting on, are we playing catch up with it? So that's sending the water. Oh, is it not colonized? No, it's colonized. This is... Oh, they need food and water. So did I... What does he need? He's exporting food. He can't export resources, may only trade through connected systems. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. I can't settle there. But if I settle here, because this doesn't go... There's no line there. So that was totally on me. Let's see, do we want natural gas? We'll get some aluminum going. And you will note, and this is actually pretty evident, like if I was paying attention, look, it's not in my gray line. What I'm not sure about... Oh, yeah, so this right here connects to these, but it's not... See, this is kind of weird that they overlap. At any rate, it's pretty easy to figure out, by clicking around a little bit, why those lines are red, why it's not getting what it wants. Alright, we will speed up. There we go. That's much more like it. So we now, it's almost, okay, so it needs to build up its population, and then it will send out some luxury goods. And then the luxury goods we will send in to our capital. We can just look, by the way, at unused goods. Here's the, is this aluminum? Yes, we're going to send aluminum to our capital because aluminum boosts labor, and this is where we're producing labor. Wait, that's not. Why are we producing so little labor? This thing, is that really what it is? How do I get rid of blockaded? Oh, am I being shut down by pirates? Alright, and then here is the spice. The spice must flow to Joros 1. And now what you'll see is me overspending pressure, but you'll see it is building. So industry, this should be generating labor. Oh, it went up. I'm not sure why it was down. But at any rate, the industry generates labor. These markets are generating money, which is why I'm rolling in money. And eventually things that generate influence will pop up as different goods arrive. We can see the spices here. Oh, that just increases loyalty to the planet, but it, oh no, it does have 3 points of influence pressure, but because I'm over capacity, so here's something I could do, by the way. I could switch around. I could go to this here, and I could switch around the flow of influence, or not influence, of pressure. I think I can see there. How do I know where it's coming from? If I knew how to read this, so why is this red? By the way, here this is influence pressure. It creates these little antennas. Well, I should not have let my planets get blockaded. I feel like that was a big liability there. Alright, it is 8 o'clock. I'm afraid I have to stop streaming. Tomorrow what I'll do is try to play in earnest. I feel like today was just sort of show and tell. This is a terrible game to get going. Oh, by the way, let's see how I'm doing. If you want to know how you're doing, in Civilization you have that score you can call up. At least in Civ 4 you did. Let's see how I'm doing in this game. These guys have 9,000 points. These guys have 1,700 points. Oh, I'm not doing that badly. Oh, I am compared to him. Okay, I'm not doing that badly compared to these guys. And the points, I believe, are a product of these different things. How many planets, your military strength overall, your overall influence. Yeah, these guys are clearly running away with it. What is this? They're the Senate leader. Okay, so, yeah. So, watch this. I am going to subjugate myself to them. You actually don't lose the game. You just have no more diplomacy options. If they win, you get, I think it's like a co-win. And you'll see here, they're going to think about it. If I shut this down before they accept it, I can back out of the deal. There, I'm locked in. So you will notice now I have permanently subjugated myself to the robot race. And these icons sort of explain that. So that was me throwing in the towel to make sure that I then play a serious game tomorrow. There are autosaves, by the way, so if I wanted to back up from that, I totally could. So, all right, please. Fergoff is pointing out, by the way, that what might be happening too with some of my resources is that the remnant fleets, those are basically creeps, and you see them as these gray chunks right here. Those right there. And they even have, you know how barbarian huts give you stuff? Remnant fleets are protecting, in this case, luxury. Wait, there it is. And click on it. Luxury tokens. Gain negotiate cards when picked up. So there's goodies that are parked on. And he's saying, and these are hostile, that these might be shooting at civilian ships as they fly back and forth. Because look here. They're actually like trading ships that fly around. And that's carrying the fish. Like, I love that. I love that that's actually in there. This is some nice, it's like economic space porn, isn't it? So, all right, come on back tomorrow. I'll try to play in earnest, and I know for sure, even if I'm just sucking at this and making a terrible empire, it's 7 o'clock if you're here, and you type your name into the chat channel so I know you're interested. I'll be giving away copies of this game, as well as the add-on, which is available tomorrow. It will say at 7:10. So you don't have to stick around for the whole stream. You don't have to be there from the beginning. Show up around 7 o'clock, express your interest. I'll randomly pick out a few people. I think I have 4, 5 to give away. So your odds are pretty good. So I hope to see you tomorrow. And I hope to do better than I did today. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow.